having a problem with my daughter. She insists that rock and roll is here to stay. What do I know?
Pat Benatar, Get Nervous on Chrysalis Records and Cassettes. This holiday season, give the gift of music.
You know, I've been lobbying for probably 25 years to get the real story about how everything began. It wasn't about me and all that kind of, I mean, it was about me partially, but it was about us together. And so I'm very excited and pleased that we get to go in together, because that is the real story. I mean, it feels good. And it doesn't change everything. It doesn't, you know, not in the way that you would think. It's just really nice for your children, for the legacy, for the fans. That's what I think, you know, but for you, you're grateful and you're like, that's great. You know, cool.
It is an honor. And I got to tell you truthfully, you may think we're crazy, and you may think there's more reasons for anybody to not like us, is that we do not have one gold, platinum, multi-platinum record hanging up in our house anywhere.
Yeah, we're just
anywhere. It's just was never about that. It was great to have them. Certainly, it's fantastic to have the support and the fans. You know, the greatest thing always, and you hear this a million times when you see and talk to the fans and the people that love the music, how it changed their lives. And that's the most powerful thing you can ask for. And if this helps to exploit that even more, we'll keep going, and we're not stopping.
Hey, Stephanie.
What's up? So good to see you.
How you doing? Today, we're going to make it happen today, okay?
Wow, I wore that shirt just to commemorate that idea. How weird is that?
Wow, we're looking at things the same way here, I see.
Of course, even twinning it. I mean, a little gray because mental health awareness month. So we want to, remind people that it's not that, out of the blue for people to have issues with mental health, and we want to shine a light on it. So
that's right.
Here we are, exciting stuff going on here.
It is very exciting. I mean, the work that you do, the work that I do, the work that a lot of people do. And I think, the Mental Health Awareness Month is very important, just like any other cause is very important. Not just a month, each and every day, but specifically mental health issues, because some of those issues don't get addressed the right way, and the help is not really offered in the right way. And I think today we're going to spend a little time going over how the media handles that at sometimes.
Yeah, it's a big issue. And I think there's still this huge stigma related to mental health, and that if you talk about having some kind of mental health issue, then you're just crazy. Like there's something wrong with you, you're a terrible person type of thing. And realistically, all I found is it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not be okay. And it's actually causing more issues for us by not reaching out and asking for help and getting the right support on our side.
That's right. And motion pictures and TV shows and talk shows are now really coming out and talking about these issues. Athletes, actors, musicians, performers are really coming out. And if they can't handle a certain situation due to mental health reasons, they're talking about it, and they're empowering others to do the same.
Yeah, I love it that they're sharing their own struggles, and I think it gives especially children the ability to look up and say, like, to see these famous people that seem to have it all together, and for them to admit that they're having mental health issues. I think it makes kids more able to be open about it as well.
That's right. Every Wednesday, I'm fortunate enough to do a radio show, after our show from 7 to 9 with a lot of great people in Florida. And we never really talked about this. And you actually helped me over time kind of talk about different issues that really affect us personally. Tonight, I'm going to interview my cardiologist on our talk show tonight. If you check it out right here on this Facebook page. But 8 years ago this week, I had a heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is the cardiac rehab. That's Lori and Arthur 8 years ago. And I had a heart attack that my main artery was 100% blocked.
Oof.
And I rarely talk about it, but I'm going to be talking about it more because I think that how I handled it could have been a lot better. And I think that it could also help people if I were to share a little bit of what I went through. And talking with my cardiologist today, who saved my life, and the complete team over there at South Nassau in Long Island. I give it up to them and my family and God, but I wanted to start to share it because it's 8 years already. And I know you've been open about a lot of different things, and I appreciate that about you because you give your heart and soul and your experiences to so many people, and that helps people and empowers people. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And I heard that you ran like a marathon yesterday. You ran, so you're inspiring me even in the things you do now.
I wanted to see, so I'm in Texas now, and there's something really cool about being here. There's a lot of trails. There's a lot of places around my neighborhood to go running. And when I was in New York, there wasn't, the sidewalks weren't as good. There just weren't places to really go running, or I didn't feel safe. So here I can run outside as much as I can deal with the heat. But yesterday I've been running like 6 miles pretty regularly. And I was like, I'm gonna go for 7. And then when I went for 7, I was like, I'm going to just see if I can do 8. And then I got home and I had done 8.3. And so, I mean, I was like, as I was getting closer to the house, I'm like, oh, maybe I could do 9. And then I stopped. I'm like, I think I might vomit. I was like, what am I thinking?
Wow. So have you always been a runner?
No.
So what inspired you to do that at this point?
I actually was never much of a runner. I wasn't much of an athlete in high school. I was, always picked second to last, not ever last, but it was always like second to last. Because if you like threw a ball in my direction, I'd hide. And so like, oh no, please don't do that. So I was never that, but my dad used to take me to the gym. So I used to work out. I used to do step classes were cool back then, and different aerobic exercises and weights. So I've always liked those kinds of things. And I think that, I don't remember what exactly got me into it, but I decided that I wanted to try to do the Long Island Half Marathon years, like 10, 12 years ago now. And it was just kind of one of those things like, let's just try it. And I was doing Long Island Summer Run Series. They happened every Monday. And so it was just kind of a good thing. And there was times where I did like a 5-kilometer one, and I was like, oh, that's really hard. But yeah, let's try a half marathon. I just thought it'd be cool to try it. And I did it, and I got it in the time that I was hoping to complete it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then I didn't really run as much. I kind of like just a little bit at the gym. And then when I had my daughter, right after I had my daughter, I hadn't been able to work out really during the pregnancy as much. And so I said, you know what? I just need to tell myself I can do exercise again, that I can just get back into it. So she was about 2 months old, and I decided to book a trip to Colorado and run a half marathon in Colorado with my sister. So I did. Wow. Yeah. And I hadn't really run as much since then, but I said, you know what, I'm going to just start, like, I don't have to have an event to go running for. I'm just going to try it out and see how I like it. And I'm liking it more and more because it's not an event. I'm not competing against anybody. It's my time to just be in the outdoors, look at all the beautiful birds in the water, and have my earbuds in, be away from the house, just really have my own space. And I'm actually enjoying it more now than I ever have before.
So you're making it happen. Wow, there we go. I love it. I love it. And I love how you set little goals for yourself, because in the work that we do, if you set those goals too high, we're never going to reach them, right? Let's face it. And then you're going to give up, and then you're going to start from scratch again anyway. But if you set little marginal goals, little short goals, you have a chance of really excelling in that way.
Well, I think you kind of have to have like the big, medium, small. Right. Is those like, I have my big, huge goals of what I want to do. At some point I would also like to have a nonprofit and go into schools and teach young kids about healthy relationships and have curriculum written and all these other things I have these big ideas for. But right now I have little smaller goals to just get to, so I have all these big things that are there, they're in the background, but they're not there yet. I have to get through all these little things to get to that bigger goal. So I think it's good to dream big, but to realize you're not going to get there right away, and to be excited and celebrate whenever you get to those little goals. Sometimes, I mean, today I had a conversation with a client, and she was like, well, you know, I did something a little bit good. I got into a disagreement with my ex-husband, and instead of like sulking all day about it or being upset all day, I was only upset 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's not little, that's huge. Like, that's a really huge thing. And so I think sometimes we kind of like belittle our the things we accomplish without realizing that we should be celebrating all of the things that we do. And then we actually want to do them more when we celebrate them.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. In case you're just tuning in, this is Kick Unhealthy Relationships to the Curb. That's Stephanie McPhail. I'm Steve Vaccaro. We've been doing this thing for over 2 years now. Can you imagine?
Oh, and it's been 2 years completely online.
Yeah. Was that a sigh of, I can't believe I've been dealing with this guy for 2 years? Was that kind of a sigh?
No, it's more like, wow, 2 years have just flown by.
Yes. Yeah, that's another thing too, because, you know, we have children. And we're gonna show some pictures in a few moments, but we need to start off what happened in Buffalo. That massacre, that rampage is heartbreaking, and we hate to start off on a negative note, but when these things happen, we're news reporters first, and because it has mental health issues that pertain to this and gun control, we want to just acknowledge the people that lost their lives. So. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those families. And there's a song out there by Donna Ross called Missing You. We're going to play a little snippet there, and then I'm just going to read the names that lost their lives. And if we could all have a collective prayer and reflection for those folks. It was a massacre that should never happen. It was premeditated by a teenager in upstate New York, and 10 people lost their lives randomly. It was premeditated. Miss Whitfield, 86 years old. Margus Morrison, 52 years old, of Buffalo. Roberta Jury, 32 years old. Catherine Massey, 72 years old, of Buffalo. Pearl Young, 77 years old. Mr. Patterson, 67 years old. Geraldine Talley, 62 years old. Celestine Cheney, 65 years old. Andre McNeil, 53 years old. And security guard Salter, 55 years old. These, it's heartbreaking, very, very heartbreaking when you see this unfold. I mean, what's your thoughts, Steph?
I mean, I feel like being in New York, and I remember seeing it so often in other states, and seeing it so much closer to home is really eye-opening, in that there's so much turmoil in this country. And I'm reading about how it was a hate crime. It was done specifically, as a racist motive. And there's just so much hatred that's been spreading around. And I don't know how we can really turn it around on a big scale to keep this from perpetuating and getting worse.
Yeah, and people always say, I deliberate if I pop these things on, but it's important to recognize that we still are not in a place as a country, as a society, that we need to be. Mental health issues have to be addressed. Gun control issues have to be addressed. There's no politics behind this. We really have to get together. We're so polarized right now. I believe you cannot become desensitized to these things. So I believe that we need to continue to show them. And okay, Stephanie's going to be right back. But we have a couple of things that we were involved with. And please say a collective prayer and reflection to those families that lost lives. And God bless us all. Sarah Nimitz is on concert in Europe. She's a good friend of ours of the network. She does our our intro song to Reach Out with Ray and Steve and Robbie. You check out her lineup, her tour in Europe. She's an amazing young lady. She's doing great things, and her music is unbelievable. If you haven't heard her perform or seen her, check out on YouTube or Sarah Nimitz on social media platforms. She's absolutely great. Our Chapters Network and Chapters Community Support Services has had the ability to offer community awards for the last 9 years, and we did so recently as well. We gave out some awards to Lou Bernardi, who is local here in Long Island, who does great work with families and children in need. He's just a great community guy. And we also gave out community awards to Councilwoman Marcia Silverman and the mayor of Glen Cove, Pamela. Unbelievable people. It was a great night that we had last week. And again, our network, our nonprofit efforts are about giving back at all times. July 10th, we're going to be in Manhattan for the Disability Pride Walk, which takes place, the parade, which takes place each and every year. And during the pandemic, it didn't take place. We did it for the first couple of years. Basically, it's a highlight. It's a way to empower people that have disabilities or support people with disabilities to bring that awareness to the forefront. So we are so very honored to be asked to be doing that again. But you know what? Sometimes we watch TV to take us away from some problems. Sometimes, I don't know if you watch American Idol, Stephanie. Do you watch American Idol?
Christian Gordino is someone that I know personally. So
really,
yeah.
Patchogue boy.
Yeah, he lived right down the road from me, and his aunt Grace was my husband David's singer. They were a duo singing, together out in Suffolk County. And so we used to hear him sing pretty often. He actually sang at Grace's wedding. So beautiful voice, nice kid. Yep, know him well.
Well, hello. Can we get him on our network, Stephanie?
I of course I will ask him. I hadn't even thought about
Stephanie,
that.
Make it happen.
I will. I'll send him a message and see if he'll come on for sure.
Okay, I've been an American Idol groupie for 20 years now. I love the show. I love the stories behind the story, behind the music. There's 3 people left. The final episode, the final show in American Idol, it takes me away for a couple hours. Hunter Girl is one of the people left, and she's amazing, country music artist. She's going to make it far if she wins or loses. Leah Marlene, she did an unbelievable version of Separate Ways by Journey and Steve Perry. You got to go to YouTube. You got to check it out. It is one of the best performances ever. Noah Thompson is also in the top 3. He had COVID for a couple of weeks. He performed in his hotel room, and he still made it to the top 3. So you got to check it out. This is a plug for American Idol now because it is a great show. It's a story behind the story. And now you know somebody personally, so we got to get him on.
Heck yeah. I'm sending him a message. I just actually tagged him in here, and I'll send him a message after the show. But
yeah,
I hadn't even thought about that. If he's not too busy, I mean, he's going to be singing with Michael Bublé. So, he's got some stuff in the works.
All right. Well, he can spend a few moments with your friend Stephanie and
of course.
Steve, no doubt. But you know what? It's all about the kids, and summer is right around the corner, right? So we thought it'd be good to kind of review some pictures from our kids, maybe. I mean, in the summertime, because it's always a lot of fun in the summer in New York or Texas, no matter where you are. I think, okay, there's my daughters, Gia and Angie. I call it back in the day. I love that picture because Gia is 2 years older than Angela. They're in their 20s, late 20s now. They'll kill me if they see this picture up on the screen. But that's one of my favorite pictures, 1998 already.
So cute.
And that's,
who's that guy with the mustache?
Yeah, I had the 70s mustache going on. That's Gia and Angie at the beach. Loved it. You're a Long Island girl going to Jones Beach. Who's that?
Oh, it's my little Sophie girl. She's a little fishy, loves being in the pool.
Uh-huh. Where is that, in Texas or New York?
Yeah, that's our friend's pool.
Okay. That's cute. There's me and my daughter Gia now. She's grown up now. She's married, and that's us by the poolside. So we have a lot of great times there. Whoa, who's that?
It's Batman. It's my son's
Batman.
memory.
That's a cute picture. He loves Batman, doesn't he?
Oh yes. I mean, this is so funny because I got this bouncy slide and it's actually water comes out of it. So it's like a water slide, bouncy house. Kids love it. Absolutely love it. And if anybody's looking, I got it at Walmart, but I had this really funny thing happen because David was like, not too sure about me getting it. And I was like, the kids really need it. It's like a need. It's not a want. They have to have it. And the universe must have been looking out for me because they sent me 2. And so when I called to find out why they sent me 2, they're like, no, we already sent you 1. And I was like, oh, okay. So I sent back 1. I got it almost for free. So worked out. We needed it.
So do you sell tickets for the little kids in the neighborhood to ride that thing?
Well, now, yeah. So the neighbors, like 2 doors down, was like, they saw a picture. They were like crying to their mother that they had to come over. And now the kid next door found out we have it. There's going to be all the neighborhood kids at the house this summer.
Wow, that is so cool. I have one. I don't know if you have it, Carmine. There's one picture of my daughter, Angie. She's in glasses and a bathing suit. I don't know if we have that picture. It's the classiest picture. Oh, there she goes. There she goes. Now, Angie wanted something, and I said, Angie, give me your best pose back then. And she took my glasses. She did a little dance, and she's a great kid. And I always call her Happy Face. When I look at that, she has the best smile. So we love our children, right?
Of course. Our kids are awesome. And there's moments where they like to push our buttons, but
that's right.
They love them to death.
That's right. You know what? Sometimes it's easy to make friends, and sometimes it's hard to make friends. What's for you? Is it easy or hard to make friends?
I think it's pretty easy to meet people and become friendly with people. Making really close friends, I think, is a little bit harder because you have to look a little bit harder. Being that I moved and I had my people in New York, I had a very close-knit group of girlfriends that we've known each other since 5th grade. So coming out here, I actually joined a few Facebook groups. And so I got to know people that had similar interests in the area. And there's some really, really awesome people. So I already know a bunch of people. My friends that live here, they're like, we already think you know more people than me. But they're not like, I like them and they're nice, but that close knit, really people that you can totally let your hair down with, those I think are like few and far between.
Well, we have people young and old watching the show. So we have a couple of tips on how to make friends. And you tell me if you agree with these tips. Reach out. Don't always wait for someone else to make the first move. A simple hi and smile go a long way. Get involved, like you just said. Join clubs that interest you. Take special classes inside or outside of school. Be a volunteer somewhere. Let people know you're interested in them. Don't just talk about yourself. Ask questions about them. Be a good listener. Look at people while they're talking to you. Pay attention to do what they say. Risk telling people about yourself. When it feels right, let them in on your interests, your talents, and most important to you. And I think, Stephanie, when we talk about that, I mean, that's something I shared about with you. Sometimes it's hard for people to share about themselves to other people, but that's really endearing, and that really solidifies a friendship, right?
Well, how can someone know if they're going to get along with you if you don't tell them about yourself? Right. I mean, that's like the best way. And I think one of them that was on there that I share all the time with clients is don't wait for someone to come and reach out to you. Sometimes you have to be the one who reach out. There's so many people that will sit there and say, well, why doesn't anybody call me? Nobody likes me. Nobody wants to be friends with me, whatever. But the reality is that we all have a lot going on in our lives. That's what life is about. We're always running around. So, don't be afraid to make the first move and make that phone call and make a decision to go meet somewhere and do something. But don't wait for other people to come to you necessarily. There's nothing wrong with you being the one that's reaching out and making that relationship grow if that's a relationship you want to grow.
Right. There's a couple more. Don't be a show off. Not everyone you meet will have your abilities and interests. Be honest. Tell the truth about yourself, what you believe in and what you stand for. When asked for your opinion, be sincere. Friends appreciate truthfulness in each other. Be kind. There are times when being tactful is more important than being totally honest. The truth doesn't have to hurt. Don't just use your friends as sounding boards for your problems. Include them in good times too. This happens a lot. I think that sometimes people ask people for things, or people like get pigeonholed when you call somebody out of the blue. The first reaction might be, "Hi, how you doing? What do you want?"
Yeah. I think, well, and also too, if you're a caregiver, we very often kind of accumulate friends that need us. And so it's also a good idea to think about whether or not it's a mutual relationship as opposed to someone that just needs you all the time. But then when you have something come up, they disappear. Right. So you want to have some balance in those relationships too.
Right. Couple more. Do your share of the work. That's right, work. Any relationship takes effort. Don't always depend on your friends to make the plans and carry all the weight. Be accepting. Not all your friends have to think and act like you do. Wouldn't it be boring if they did? And the last one, learn to recognize the so-called friends when you can do without. Some people get so lonely that they put up with anyone, including friends who aren't really friends at all.
Oh my gosh. And I will tell you that the amount of people that I talk to that put up with that in romantic relationships is giant. So I think that goes along to, and once you start healing and working on yourself and you realize, hey, not only do I not need this in a romantic relationship, but I also don't need this in my friendships. It actually opens up, when you get rid of those toxic types of relationships, it actually opens up the possibility for you to meet other people that have more in common with you, that are going to actually help inspire you and stop draining you.
Hey, that word toxic reminds me of a book somebody wrote. That's right. You wrote a book. What's your book all about?
I have. And actually, look at this. I have a copy of my book right here.
Wow, convenient.
Yes. And so we actually have something really cool going on right now. We are actually going to be giving away my book. So we're going to be giving this away. Yes, you heard me correctly. And I actually have it signed for you as well. So we're actually, if you look at the bottom of the screen right now, there is a direct link to purchase, because you got to purchase the shipping and handling, because I can't afford to pay, send it to everybody. But you got to get the shipping and handling, which is $7.99. We literally had to figure out the math to see exactly what it was going to be. And you have the opportunity to get my book for free, to be able to read and get inspired. And for those of you who don't know what the book is about, it's really all about overcoming toxic relationships. My personal story, the story of 3 other people who also overcame toxic relationships, and then just some steps and some thoughts of what you specifically can do to make sure that you are aware of what's toxic and what you can specifically do to stop the cycle for yourself. So $7.99. You want a signed copy? Come on.
So now you're giving out signed copies of your book. When you gave me your book, you didn't sign nothing.
Well, in my defense, I was coming to New York and I was going to be signing it. So
okay,
that was the plan. I was going to sign those books, but here they're going to be shipped directly from Texas. They might still be warm when you get there.
Wow.
When they get there.
Can you go like this, like in front of the TV camera, like all yours? There we go, all yours. You can have that book. That's great. I mean, but you do. There we go. You do such great work. And another person we're going to bring on the show and talk about. We're doing a documentary with our production team. First of all, I want to give kudos to our production team, and which is led by Carmine and Charlie. There's our crew there. We all met recently, going over some of the documentaries that we're doing, and we're going to bring Carmine on in a minute. But we have a little snippet of a documentary that we're doing about breast cancer, and it's about Christina's focus on everything. And there's the women that we're going to focus in on. But let's check out this video before we bring on Christina.
A little bit about all of the good that came of it. Tell you a little bit about what to expect if there's anybody that you know that gets diagnosed, and to take a little scary out of it. So on November 9th, 2020, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. A few weeks before, I had gone for a physical, and I had to get a routine mammogram. I found a lump at the same time, a very small lump, so I figured it's nothing. Went for the mammogram. They immediately saw 3 separate spots on my left breast. And I had to come back a few days later for what's called a needle biopsy. Doesn't hurt, They numb up the area. It's like a sonogram with a needle that you don't really feel, and they take some of the tissue, and a couple of days later they come back to you with the results, whether the tissue was cancerous or not. So I had maintained my positivity, saying, nah, it's not, it's gonna, the more spots that they found, the more I started to think, you know what, maybe this is something, but I wasn't going there yet. So I was home alone, working from home at the time because we were in the heat of COVID, and my regular primary physician called, which I found odd, and she said, we got the results back, and the test came out positive. And I remember just this shock wave coming over my body. It jolted me. And I said, I'm sorry, what? She said, it's positive, you have breast cancer. And she's very matter of fact, and she said, you're going to need to find a surgeon and an oncologist. Let me know what you need. And she gave me a few names of doctors that she's worked with or that her patients have used before. And I remember hanging up the phone and just being like, this can't be real life. This can't be happening to me. So I called my husband, who was my fiance then, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I have breast cancer. I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, don't freak out. It's all going to be fine. I'll be home in a little while. I was by myself. I hadn't spoken to my kids. So together we have 6 kids. I have 4 and my husband has 2. They're all adults. And they worry like adults. So I hadn't told them when I had gone for the testing or anything because I didn't want them to worry. Like I said, we were in the heat of COVID, so everybody wasn't really out and about. And we were refraining from physical contact. So when my husband came home, I said, well, we have to tell the kids. So I set up a Zoom call. It was all I could do. And I got all the kids on the Zoom call, and I said, they thought that I was just being silly, like being a mom, and just wanting to say, I miss you, I hope I see you guys soon, and this wasn't that. So when I told them, they separately, some of them just were like, my daughters started to cry. My one son started to freak, and my other son was just very confident that I would be fine. You'll be fine. Lots of people get this and everybody beats it. You're going to be fine. And after that, that's really when my mind started to go. My mind started to wander. I started to think, like, how can I have breast cancer? How can this be? How can, like, my whole life is going to be destroyed?
Wow, that's a powerful story, and Christina's with us now. Christina, when you watch that video now, on the heels of putting out a documentary, what are your thoughts that run through your mind?
It's funny, not funny, haha, but funny that we are talking about Mental Health Month, because there are so many things that affect us. And for me, I had always been someone who we all think we've got it together, right, to a certain degree. And it rocked me to my core. So the reason that I started to make, my own videos, because I wanted to share them, was when I got diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. There wasn't a well-known protocol. People didn't really talk about this. And if you say, well, I've been diagnosed with cancer and I have to go through all of these therapies, it frightens people, and some of them tune out because it scares them. So the reason I wanted to do this was, we have to provide resources, we have to provide information, but not just the medical stuff. We have to provide this is what happened to me, and it's okay if something like that happens to you, or if something totally different, if you feel totally different, if you're scared to death, if you're not scared, if you have some days that you're mighty and you have other days that you just fall apart. I wanted to offer some kind of, this happened to me, and if it happens to you, like, I'm okay, you're okay. So that was really the basis of me making all of those videos throughout my journey and my therapy and all of the things that happened.
Stephanie, she's really making it happen, right?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, I think that obviously, you sound like a successful woman. Things, you kind of figured things out, and then this was like a slap in the face of like, wait, where is this coming from? And then all that, strength that you have kind of was in question. It sounds like why is this happening to me? What did this go on? Did you feel kind of like, were you angry? Did you what were your feelings about all that?
I was confused, and I became a sponge for information, and I sought out anybody that any of my close friends told, anybody that they had known that I could talk to that had been through it, because I wanted to know, number one, that I wasn't going to die, which clearly I didn't. So thank you, God. But I wanted to find out from other women, like, how did you go through it? What happened to you? Because in the beginning, you can't possibly know this whole thing. You're not going to know the experience. So speaking, I interviewed 26 women that had gone through this, and with all different scenarios, because I needed that information. And I knew at that point that I had to do something to document my journey for a woman that may be just like me, that voraciously needs that information. Or on the flip side of that, my mom had breast cancer in the late 70s. It was a very, very different time. I was in my late teens, and the therapies were very different. And there was no social media. There was no, if you had your family and you had whoever, if you had a church group or an organization you belonged to, maybe you could talk to those people, but people weren't as well connected then. And I felt that because my mom had been a stay-at-home mom, that she didn't have really a network to find somebody to talk to. And I wanted to do this for her because I can't imagine now what she must have gone through. And as moms, we try to hold it together. That's my camera, sorry. As moms, we try to hold it together, and we try not to show our kids that we're afraid or that we're in pain or that we have a problem. And there was probably a lot that I didn't recognize because she was being a mom and I was being a kid. So there are other moms out there that don't have that network of people, that can't have that person to talk to that's already been through it. Anybody that goes through anything like this, it doesn't have to be breast cancer. The thing I think that we all have in common when there's a crisis, could be an illness, could be something else, usually it's not part of the plan. Right. So you can plan, if you do really well, you can plan for your finances, you can plan for your kids' college education, you can plan for all these things. Nobody plans to have a health crisis or any kind of crisis. So that's really a big part of it.
Well, Christina, this is like a little icebreaker for you to share your journey. But what I love about you the most is your passion, your work ethic, your love for family. But during your hardest times, you needed to journal this and to document this in the hopes that it'll help one person. And when you asked us to do your documentary, and I got to give it to my production team, and who's led by Carmine and Charlie, to take this on, not only was it about you, you wanted to include other people. So we have Helen, who's part of our network, and other women that you met for the first time that are part of the documentary that's going to be released in October. And these women, I had the firsthand experience of filming them last week. It's incredible stories. And I am so thankful and blessed that we're friends and that you're organizing this. And together, we're going to make this a platform for other women to utilize to help themselves and to help others.
Well, I am very, very grateful to you and your team for understanding, just simply how important this is to get this information out and to take a little bit of the scary away. The fact that we got through it and we got to the other side is, I didn't want to put my videos up on YouTube. I didn't want to present it that here I am, a woman that's going through this. I wanted to show the after, that we're all going to be okay. I think one of the greatest things about this is that one of the women in that picture, Lori was one of those 26 women that I interviewed in the very beginning. Her husband shared on Facebook. We were friends many years ago acquaintances, really. And I had seen that she had breast cancer way before I was diagnosed. And you see it as you're scrolling. As soon as I got diagnosed, I started to think, like, who can I call? How do I find a doctor? And I messaged him. And Lori was on the phone in a number of hours to kind of talk me off the ledge and share her personal experience with me that I had never met her before. Yet she shared the most personal of details of her treatment and of her illness and her recovery. I just thought that was the kindest thing that we could do for each other. And even more so now that we've been brought together, we're sharing all of this in conversation because we have a bond.
Well, you definitely have a bond, and you definitely have a mission, to help others. So October, it's going to be released. We're just starting now, but you've created this platform for so many people. Christina, thank you so very much for joining Stephanie and I here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stephanie, amazing, right?
I love that. And you know, I was thinking as Christina was talking that, you know, one of the greatest gifts you can do is share your pain with others, because that really, not only does it inspire other people, but it also lessens the pain for ourselves. When you're able to spread it out and not feel like you have to have it just on your own shoulders, it decreases our own pain as well.
Right. Let's bring Carmine into the mix here, because he actually got a chance to view some of the documents that that Christina has made and the videos that she made. Carmine, what's your thoughts about Christina and what she put together, what you saw for the first time before anybody else?
There he is.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh yeah, no, you're like Oz, the guy behind the curtain there.
Oh yeah, I just want to thank Christina for giving us the opportunity to pursue her documentary. Yeah, I got the chance to look over some of the footage, and all honesty, yeah, as a team, me, Charlie, collectively, we want to put together Christina's story and just tell her story, everything from her end, and keep it as real and natural from her end as possible. So really excited to talk more to Christina and just hear more of her input along the way, as well as us putting together this entire documentary. Very excited.
So Carmine, you are like you're an actor, you're an engineer, you're a friend, you're a producer, you're young. Why do you do all these things? Why is it important for you to do these things?
I love just the opportunity to give back and make people feel in a very positive light. Those are things that just really, really impact me in the best way. So, for example, all the Chapters Wrap shows, the Kicking Unhealthy Relationship shows that everyone's been watching on this channel week after week. I love doing them because you guys just bring on amazing guests each week and continue to inspire people, have these open-ended conversations like Christina was saying, just talking. And you guys having these conversations, you know, week after week, there's stuff from each show that I pick out that stick with me week after week. And I know for the viewers out there, it'll do the same. So that's why I want to keep pursuing it, just to get the word out there.
Right. And your work ethic is second to none. Your precision is impeccable. And I can't, Stephanie brought me to StreamYard. You brought me way, way beyond.
She helped me with the ropes also for StreamYard. So.
I know. Stephanie makes it
that keeps on giving.
She makes it happen.
She makes it happen.
That's right. She definitely makes it happen. But you're an actor. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we went to a game. I don't know what to do with this. Carmen, do you have any ideas what we could do with the rest of the show?
All right, I have an idea.
What's the idea?
I have 3 clips that I'm going to bring up that have to do with mental health awareness, especially because it's this month. But it's something to keep in mind throughout the year. So for this episode, let's take a look into 3 video clips and see what we can get out of them. This first one.
You go with that, Stephanie?
I like it. I like it. Sounds good.
All right, Carmen.
All right. First one's from a TV series. It's called Modern Love.
I'm bipolar. Really? Yes. I have been since I was 15.
How come you never told me?
Well, who wants to hire someone with a mental illness and entertainment law? Aren't we crazy enough? Sorry.
So why are you telling me now?
because you're more than work. And you should know what you're dealing with if we're gonna see each other outside of the office, which I would like. But I have incredibly low periods. So low that I can barely move. I am impossible to be around. I can barely answer the phone. I'm totally unreliable as a friend. In fact, in some ways, I'm probably the worst friend you could ever have. Don't check a single box.
I have a meeting 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Phyllis, hey, those guys from admin in my office, tell them we have to cancel today. I'll see them tomorrow. Yeah, and I'll tell them I'm really sorry. You want to get lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Get a menu. So where are you right now, mood-wise?
I'm coming off of a low. Tonight I'll be pretty manic. You're the first person I've ever told about this.
How does it feel telling me?
Like an elephant's taken one of its feet off my chest.
I'm so glad you told me. It explains so much. If anything, not knowing made it a little difficult to connect with you fully, the way I would have wanted.
That is so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually tearing up because when you have personal experiences, like you live it. I lived that with my mom growing up, and when you see it portrayed on the screen like that, it hits home.
And I think what she said is so profound, because when you're keeping it a secret, thinking that nobody knows what's going on, but people can't put their finger on it, and it almost makes everything worse. If you're just open and honest, people will be able to come forward and help you more. We don't have to deal with this all by ourselves.
Carmine, the acting behind that must be very difficult.
Yes, I loved Anne Hathaway's acting behind it. She did a beautiful job in not giving too much. You see the tears in her eyes, but she doesn't cry, and she just keeps it like that the whole time. And I think that that's a really good state to get to, because when you're trying to convey a scene such as so with such an impact, you need to be able to build up that heightened sense of emotion. And for her to cry on impact once she delivered that one line, that, you know, it felt like the elephant's weight was taken off of her chest. That's just so huge that she cried right on that moment. Just as an actress, she did an amazing job with that. And especially to her friend, I believe, in the show, as well as a working therapist, just sitting with her and just being a very good active listener. That's very good in the scene as well.
And what's good about that scene, when she said she had a meeting 5 minutes ago, it was assumed that she was going to go and leave, but she flipped it and she stayed. And that was a powerful moment. And she thought then, okay, this person really cares about me. I think that was a breakthrough right there, right, Steph?
Yeah. Very, very powerful to say, I'm going to be here for you and sit and hold space with you as you share some of your deepest, darkest, moments with me.
Right.
Yes. So that compares to this other clip that we're going to play, and it came from the movie called The Joker. Let's check it out.
I heard this song on the radio the other day, and the guy was singing that his name was Carnival.
Arthur.
Which is crazy, because that's my clown name at work. Until a little while ago, it was like nobody ever saw me. Even I didn't know if I really existed.
Arthur, I have some bad news for you.
You don't listen, do you? I don't think you ever really hear me. You just ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts. But you don't listen anyway. I said, for my whole life, I didn't know if I even really existed. But I do. And people are starting to notice.
They've cut our funding. We're closing down our offices next week. The city's cut funding across the board. Social services is part of that. This is the last time we'll be meeting.
Okay.
They don't give a shit about people like you, Arthur. And they really don't give a shit about people like me either.
How am I supposed to get my medication now? Who do I talk to?
I'm sorry, Arthur.
Powerful scene. I mean, that is typical because when services stop or funding is cut, the patient or the client has to go. Right, Steph?
Working in a public school district, and I worked at a crisis hotline for 13 years. I mean, those are kinds of things. When funding went, it immediately, first place it went from was mental health, and like every service possible for mental health. And then there was all these people wondering, like, well, what about me? I guess I don't matter. I'm invisible. And I mean, that's something that I heard over and over again from people. And I think when I remember that scene so vividly, because I actually called one of my friends who's a social worker, and we were just both like, wow, that particular scene was so powerful because it explains all the rest of why he kind of totally went off the deep end after that.
Right. Shows the whole human side of the Joker as of why he did the craziness that he did. I love in Joaquin Phoenix's acting, you know, the acting is very still. It's very simple. He's just there smoking the cigarette, and you see the ash go on him, and he's just looking forward the whole time, just worried and concerned with life, with what's going to happen next. It's a complete opposite compared to the last scene that we just saw, how she totally stopped everything to be with that patient.
So Carmine, sometimes less is more. You don't have to overact. So when you do a role, you really have to understand what that character is all about, and you kind of live that moment. I mean, you're an actor. Would you say that's true?
Yes, of course, behaving naturally under those imaginary circumstances that we play. So you have to play whatever stays natural and true to you. Boil down the script and the scene to what the main point you need to get across is, and do that naturally as you can to get it across to the audience.
Stephanie, I think he wants his own show. What do you think? I think he's like running for his own show here.
No, we can't lose Carmine. He's ours. He's us.
I know. Carmine, you're going to continue to make it happen with Stephanie and I, okay? You all right with that?
That sounds good to me. I'll go back to being the man behind Oz.
Okay. Carmine, we love you.
But
Thank you so much.
Just a quick thing, if I can promo, I have coming up in New York City. I have a Broadway show that's coming up June 28th. It will be at 54 Below. So if anyone could check out the website, it's titled Alone. So please check it out.
All right. We have to come. Stephanie,
Awesome.
come
Yes,
on back to New York, okay, will you?
Broadway star? Like, heck yeah.
I know. What is it going to take to keep you in the fold here, Carmine? I don't know what to do. Stephanie, give him an autograph book for him, okay?
All right, that'll keep me. That'll keep me. I'm sold.
We love you, man. Take care. That's our production team, vital part of our team, Carmine Avizio. Thank you so very much. And we also have another show called Flashback Sports with Gil and Dave. And I believe Dave is on the show here tonight. So, Dave, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Then I'm here.
Okay, then you're there. Dave
Great
Grassi,
job.
Stephanie McPhail, and you know who I am for the last 50
Sure do. I watched Stephanie. Stephanie, great show.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. You going to tell us some good sports stuff?
I feel so, after hearing, I caught the last half hour, and powerful stuff. Last thing I want to talk about now is spoiled millionaire athletes, but we'll do it anyway. But good stuff.
But that's what the people want. They want to hear this stuff.
You need a little real life. You need a little bit of make believe, right? So just I was just thinking about my toxic relationships of the past, and most always send it back to my bookies. I wish I had your book back then, Stephanie. Could have ended those relationships. So anyway.
So Dave, I hope we didn't have a toxic relationship back in high school, because it took us 40 years to regroup
That's right.
and to do this thing, right? We're good right now.
Dave needed that much time in between.
That's exactly. Detox is what that's called. 40 years of detox.
Why do you think Dave needed that time? Maybe I needed that time. Steph.
No, it was definitely Dave. It was definitely Dave.
Exactly. Thank you.
But Dave, I mean, we've talked over and over again through the years, and I love your show with Gil. Talk about your co-host Gil Cosenza.
Gil's a mile a minute. I think we both have very similar interests. Gil's he's got a tremendous memory. He remembers such little, the nuance of things that he remembers back 40 years ago. I'm kind of a numbers guy and a stats guy, and I can remember a lot of numbers, but he remembered little nuance, the little subtle events that took place in a game that, so I lean on him a lot for that stuff. And I try to rein him in every once in a while a little bit too, because he can go on a leash for a little while and get a little crazy, but we have fun together.
Together, you guys are great. I watch it all the time. I mean, it really brings me back to the talk show radio host, and you got a good following. You got a good audience. And I know you're doing worst events in sports tonight. That's going to be a great day.
We're talking about current events. Rangers big victory last week in Game 7, Mets Yankees, maybe NBA playoffs, and then we're going to jump to kind of the worst, what we consider some of the worst moments in sports, and you can kind of conjure up in your head what they may be, and they may have been a bad injury, guys going to the crowd, all the way to the tragic Munich events of 1972 Olympics. So some of the things that kind of really changed the way we look at sports, or changed the way we look at individual athletes, or things that change the sport itself. Some of the boxing matches, the horrific boxing matches that ended tragically. So we'll, certainly not the lighter side of sports tonight, but we'll mix it up a little bit.
Well, my worst sports moment, it's a Viking moment. Go figure.
Rocky.
1998, I was in Minnesota at the championship game. They're 15-1. They're going to the Super Bowl. I couldn't afford a Super Bowl ticket. I go to Minnesota instead, thinking I'm going to be with all my Minnesota peeps, and they're going to get to the Super Bowl. And they were heavily favored, and the Falcons did the dirty bird on them, and they went to the Super Bowl, and the Vikings went home again. So
that probably won't make our list tonight, Steve, but that's a very personal, tragic moment. And although something comparable, when we sent out the announcement what was going to be on, one of my friends said, who's also a Jet fan, said the worst moment in sports, New York Jets, 1970 to present, is the worst moment in sports. So
that's
Joe
right.
named the last one.
Well, this is a healing, therapeutic show, so I had to get that off my chest. I had to share it with Stephanie there.
That's what we're here for.
That's what you're here for, right? Dave and Gil, love you very much. Have a great show tonight. Thank you
guys
for tuning in.
Thanks for the time.
Flashback Sports with Gil and Dave, 9:00 on the network. Stephanie, we're out of time. Another great show.
It was, and we actually have a friend of mine, Eileen O'Donnell, who's going to be coming on next week. So she's really awesome, and she's got some great stuff to share, and possibly she's going to share some personal stories related to mental health and something that she's been dealing with, her own story. I'll let her share. But yeah, another really great guest next week. So definitely tune in next week, right live at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
God bless. Have a great week, Steph.
Bye, everybody.